Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mecca Mike with another episode of the Fanatics Forum, episode number 14. And just real quick, can you please like, share, and comment so I can keep giving you guys this fire sports content? So, obviously, you've seen the title, so let's get into it. We're going to be talking about and recapping the 2024 Dallas Cowboys draft picks. And I'd be lying if I wasn't a little bit concerned going into this draft because there was very, very clear holes that the Dallas Cowboys needed to plug. And it just got to the point where there's so much controversy surrounding the Cowboys and like what Jerry's saying, we're all in and not really doing anything in free agency, almost set up I would say the situation where it's like this draft, you need to hit all you have to hit on almost every single position in the draft. And if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. And I just jotted down just some questions. This is like before the draft happened. These were some of the questions that were needed to be answered or were something that people thought about going into the draft, particularly for the Dallas Cowboys. Um, number one, number one question I think a lot of people were speculating about was, are the Cowboys going to draft Dak's replacement? You heard, Michael Penix. You heard a lot of guys that they thought if one of those premier quarterbacks had dropped in the draft, would the Cowboys jump on getting one of those guys to replace Dak Prescott? I didn't really think that was a thing, but it was one of the questions that people were asking. Another question a lot of people were asking are the Cowboys rebuilding for when Dak and McCarthy's contracts are up? So there was always a scenario that if Jerry's made up his mind, he's going to move on with Dak and McCarthy and just scrap the whole team and just we're just going to build for the future. I didn't know how true that was, but it was something that a lot of people were talking about and thinking, okay, this might be the time where Jerry's like, forget this season, we'll just chuck the season. It's going to be on to the next one. Um, Another question that uh, was, are the Cowboys going to get a top running back early in the draft? I know there was a lot of, I believe the Oklahoma running back, Texas running back. A lot of people thought that was the direction that the Cowboys were going to go, that they're going to get that Zeke replacement and then just start running heavy, going back to that concept. And I can see where people thought that, but I just in this NFL, most teams are not drafting a running back in the first round, realistically. So I wasn't too keen on that, but if they did, that would have really told me that, yeah, Cowboys are moving on from Dak for sure. And then the final question, I think, for a lot of people is, what's going to be the priority of the draft? Is it going to be a balanced draft? Is it going to skew mainly for the offense or mainly to the defense? So uh, the priority of the draft really was going to tell me a lot about the direction that the Cowboys were going. So with that being said, let's get into it. So in the first round, Cowboys actually had the 24th pick, I believe. And yes, they had the 24th pick. They traded with Detroit and they traded down to the 29th pick. At that point, I was just like, man, you could have got a top tier guy, even at 24. But I understood why they did that because they got another third round pick out of that trade. And at this point, Cowboys needed, and they'll take the extra picks. They need the extra picks. Um, so at number 29, after they traded with Detroit, they selected Tyler Guyton, tackle, out of Oklahoma. And like I said, they traded down 5 spots from the 24th pick. And like I said, picked up an additional third round draft pick. I don't think particularly that this guy was the Cowboys' number one option. That's not a slight to him. But I think with a lot of the left tackles that went before him, I don't think Tyler Guyton was their number one option. But they decided getting other draft picks was more important than getting the perfect guy. And it's not to say that Tyler Guyton is not a good player, but he's kind of a project. But the good part about that is that he has the potential to be very, very scary if it works well. Day one, instant improvement in the run game. Massive dude. 6'7", 328 pounds. And some of the pros that I had that I jotted down from watching his film is obviously massive guy. His footwork very, very good for a guy that big. And I wrote down that he has the potential to be a dominant left tackle, especially paired up with Tyler Smith in the run game. Aggressive and very, very strong. And as like I said, very, very big guy. So those are some of the pros that I jotted down when I was watching this film. Some of the cons I saw was sometimes in his pass set, he's a little bit too high, but he's 6'7". So um, I don't expect everyone that's 6'7" to have that natural knee bend to get really, really low. So you could be susceptible to a lot of pass rush. No, it's a lot of bull rushes, but he seemed to do pretty well, even if he's getting bull rushed. Um, Only thing I did notice as well is that sometimes he's susceptible to an inside move because he'll overset to the outside to try to compensate for the defender's speed on the outside rush. So sometimes he'll kick out too far outside and leave inside gaps super, super soft. So someone could just easily do like a swim move back inside. And then he'll have that defender will have an easy target to the quarterback. So sometimes I see that a little bit. And he had little to no reps at left tackle in college. He was mainly at right tackle. But like I said, he can. I believe he can make the transition, especially if Cowboys decide, okay, this is our left tackle of the future, and I think that's the direction that they're going to put him in. So I think it was a solid, solid draft pick. And out of that, because we needed a left tackle, I'll definitely rate that pick a B. So that was definitely a good, solid pick. So for the second round, um, at pick number 56, the Cowboys drafted Marshawn Nealon, who's an edge rusher out of Western Michigan. When I was looking at his film, what really, really uh, um, stuck out to me was that he was very similar to Demarcus Lawrence in his skill set. When you watch his film, he was a very run stuffer, just out the gate, top tier run stuffer at defensive end. Super aggressive in the pass rush. Like he's one of those guys that not only does he want to sit down the lineman, he just wants to go right through him and annihilate him. So I really like that, especially with the Cowboys needing uh they need that run stop. They need that run stuffer. So it is not only that they need a run stuffer. For me, I feel like stopping the run is a mindset. And if you have those guys with those high motors that can stop the run and can rush the passer, then it can definitely put you in a great position defensively because that was our issue. Couldn't stop the run. So bringing in a guy like this helps that. He's definitely a mauler at the line of scrimmage, crazy, crazy athlete at his position. And I believe he was rated one of the top athletes, if not the best athlete at his position. And when I was also looking at his film, you've seen that he's great at finding the ball and super aggressive at the point of attack. And this definitely was a Mike Zimmer type pick. This is the guys that he wants to play on his team. Those are the guys Mike Zimmer wants. The only thing I didn't like about this pick is I didn't expect him to go defensive end in the second round, especially because we need defensive tackles and linebackers. So for me, I assumed at this position they're going to get a top tier linebacker, but I'm not that mad. I was just more so surprised, but I understand why they did this pick because they got a run stuffer on his his upside, and he could be someone that can set the edge and possibly be in nickel sets at defensive tackle in clear pass situations. So you have somebody that even if you're a nickel, he still has the size and ability to be a run stuffer. So you can get kind of the best of both worlds out of him. So not overly mad about that. So with that, I had to give it a C plus, just because C plus grade for Marshawn Nealon, just because wasn't expecting that pick, a defensive end that high in the draft. But again, but big upside and the potential to be a solid player for the Dallas Cowboys. So now we're in the third round. This was the pick that we had gotten from Detroit, and man, I love this pick. This pick right here, Cowboys, y'all got to steal. So for the third round, pick 73, the Cowboys had selected Cooper Beebe, guard out of Kansas State. Uh, and the main reason I love this pick is because this guy is what you would call a nasty offensive lineman in those trenches. He's just a straight mauler, super aggressive, and a dog. And I feel like this is exactly what Dallas needs on that offensive line. Definitely type of guy that Dallas needs, and he's a scary guy because when it comes to running the ball, he just obliterates guys. He just grabs you, picks you up, and just puts you in the ground. And that's the type of mindset we need to improve our run game. And he'll more than likely play center. I've seen that during practice he would take reps at center, and he figured that's where he would more than likely be in the NFL. So I think it's going to be a very simple transition for him, especially you're going to be working with Dak. And what's scary is you're going to have him, the anchor of a Tyler Smith on the left side, Zach Martin on the right, and then left tackle Tyler Guyton. Man, that offensive line is going to be scary because these guys, you could see that Dallas really wants to improve at running the football. And I feel like someone like Cooper Beebe is going to be somebody that really takes us to another level in running the football. So I think it was a great pick. And I definitely rated that as an A for the Dallas Cowboys. So the next pick that we had in the third round was at number 87. And finally, Cowboys got much needed depth at linebacker. Uh, they went with Morris Liufau out of Notre Dame. And like I said, finally, we drafted a linebacker. We needed a linebacker, especially with our absent run game. So what I liked about this pick, because it was definitely a Mike Zimmer pick again as well. Mike Zimmer loves linebackers, and Maris definitely fits the type of linebacker that he likes. Bounce linebacker with the ability to blitz, and that's going to be scary because that whole double A gap formation that Zimmer's known for. Guys like this are going to go crazy in that, especially with Michael Parsons. Both of them blitzing at the same time. Man, I feel bad for whatever quarterback's going to have to deal with that. And when I was watching his film, the only issue that I saw was sometimes he gets out of position, which can lead to big plays. But I think him being paired up with a guy like Eric Kendricks, who can really mentor him on the field, and while they're both on the field together, can help him stay in the right position and show him what to look for from NFL offenses. So I thought this was a great, great pick, and I rated it a B. Definitely a solid pick that Dallas needed out of that depth. So in round five, the Dallas Cowboys decided to go with Kalian Carson, cornerback out of Wake Forest. When I was watching his film, thought he was a solid corner, not afraid to get dirty, and once the ball's in the air, that man, he's flying straight to it, just trying to take the defender out. And I remember I was watching one play where wide receiver's going over the top, but the quarterback decided to check down to the running back, and instead of just staying on his man as he's going up, once he saw the ball, he just went straight after and just hit the running back. And some guys, they'll stick with their guy and then just keep getting blocked down, especially when the ball's already left the quarterback's hands. So I thought that was a really, really instinctual uh, play that he made. And I thought for the Cowboys, this was a depth pick. This might be the pick that keeps them from re-signing Stephon Gilmore, especially with the situation of Diggs coming back. I don't think they're really gonna pay big money to bring in another corner unless it was like a top tier or a former top caliber cornerback. Because I just feel like we need guys that have speed and are young to really revamp this defense. And even though I like Stephon Gilmore, I just don't think he has the ability to play at a high level with a lot of these top wide receivers in this game. If you had him maybe as a nickel guy more against like tight ends, I would be cool with that. But with the NFL speed, guys running 4.3s, 4.2s, I don't think he can really keep up with those guys unless you cater uh, specifically to him to play off coverage a lot. But on the NFL, they're going to just nickel and dime you all game if you're playing defense like that. But I really can't wait to see how Carson's looks in Zimmer's system, this new scheme he's bringing. So I thought it was a solid pick. I rated it a D just because I don't think he wasn't drafted to be the guy. He's drafted to be a more of a support for that defense. So I definitely like that pick. So now going into the sixth round at pick 216, the Dallas Cowboys decided to go to a particular position that we needed, but I thought they were going to more so go get a free agent, and they did, but they went wide receiver. They drafted Ryan Flournoy out of Southeast Missouri State, and what I liked about this pick was he brings the much needed speed that the Cowboys needed. He's a big, fast receiver, 6'1", runs a 4.4. And the one thing I like is just day one, he'll give the Cowboys what they need. And they can give the offense that the threat that Michael Gallup, and this is post ACL, just he didn't have the speed that he once had, and the ability to create separation was gone. And someone like Flournoy is gonna basically do that at number at either receiver two. More than likely, I think he'll play receiver two. He's going to be competing with Tolbert for reps, um, and he's going to really help take that pressure off CeeDee Lamb. Um, he's going to, and when I say take the pressure off CeeDee Lamb, he's going to make our offense less predictable because with most corners, when they play Dallas, they will just have one guy, basically one guy could cover Michael Gallup because Michael Gallup didn't have the separation anymore, didn't have the speed. So if you had one guy that could cover Gallup, then you could double CD, which made it a little bit more difficult on the offense because then you really had to have that slot receiver open up the field. And for me, I'm just a proponent. Whereas, like, if you have three guys that are uncoverable, you can call almost any play and you could just throw all over the field. So getting that needed size and speed. Oh, because and the size helps in the run game as well. You have those guys that can block on the outside so the corners can't make plays in the backfield or even mess up big plays in the run. I just really think that this guy is really going to help take our offense to the next level and make it less predictable. So I graded it a C, but this guy's going to be someone to watch for, especially if Dallas gives him the opportunity. I think he can really make a big splash in our offense. So we had two seventh round picks. The first seventh round pick was number 233. Uh, Dallas decided to go with Nathan Thomas, tackle out of Louisiana Lafayette. I graded this a C. Definitely a depth pick. We didn't have a solid backup left tackle for years, so he's definitely going to be what we need, especially if anybody gets hurt. Because I feel like the Cowboys want to keep Tyler Smith in at left guard, so you're definitely going to need a solid backup, especially if you want to keep um, not having to keep retooling the offensive line too crazy. So solid pick, much needed depth. I'll definitely rank it a C. And the second seventh round pick and final pick of the draft for the Cowboys at number 22, they decided to go with Justin Rogers, D tackle out of Auburn. And finally, because we needed D tackles. Like we needed defensive tackles. That just wasn't. I just didn't think it would take them to the seventh round to get one, but we got it. Uh, I was surprised. Like I said, we didn't get one early in the draft, but I'm not mad because we finally got the defensive tackle that we needed, and we also obviously need linebackers because with this new change in the scheme, uh, getting these pieces allows the Cowboys to really be competitive on the defensive end. Uh, so Justin Rogers, looking at the film, very solid run stopper, high motor, high energy, and I think he'll definitely offset Mozzie if Mozzie doesn't pan out. But I love that he's aggressive at the point of attack, and he'll give when he's going at guys, he goes all out in the trenches, and we definitely need somebody like that to really improve the stopping the run. So I think really good pick. Ranked it a C plus, so definitely a solid draft. And I think the Cowboys went and did what they had to do. Uh, and for me, the biggest takeaways I saw from this draft was the Cowboys are obviously resigning Dak. If you think that they're gonna just go and do something crazy next year and say, "Oh, Dak, McCarthy, both of y'all can walk, we'll be fine," that this draft didn't say that. You don't go O line heavy left tackle in the first round, and just to take a chance on a rookie quarterback next year. You don't do that. This draft tells me that they are committed to Dak, and that Jerry's just dragging out these contract negotiations for the media's sake. So media's getting their talking points. Oh, what is Jerry going to do? All in? Was it all a lie? It is what it is. Jerry loves the media. I get it, but they're re-signing Dak. You're not doing all this if you're not committed to Dak. Another takeaway is the Cowboys addressed all their draft needs. They needed online help, they needed linebacker help, and they needed size on the D line. They accomplished that. So that was a great job. The last takeaway I have is the Cowboys more than likely are going running back by committee. They obviously, we saw recently they brought in Zeke back, uh, and not only Zeke, but they brought in a lot of running backs. But I think that they're going to give the starting spot to Zeke, um, and then they'll just incorporate the other guys. The only thing I worry about is don't be too. We need to give the ball to Zeke, especially when it doesn't make sense. Run the offense through Dak, run the ball when need be, goal line situations, get those score. First and not first, like fourth. If it's like fourth and one, third and two, third and three, then you can incorporate Zeke to get those garbage yards to really move the ball forward. So there you have it. That's my 2024 Cowboys draft recap. All in all, the Cowboys are going in the right direction, especially to compete. And I think they will surprise a lot of people on defense next year, especially because the new pieces. That's you need those. New scheme will make the defense less predictable. As long as those guys stay healthy, this team will be scary in general. I ranked the overall draft a B, and I think it's going to be exciting to see what they do this year. So, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Fanatics Forum. Like, comment, and share. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel now. You know you want to. I just want to keep giving you guys this fire content, so make sure you subscribe. Again, I'm your host, Mecca Mike. Thank you so much, and I'm out.